Since its launch in 2005, Broad Street Review has sought to promote the exchange of viewpoints rather than any particular point of view. To that end, we welcome commentary from professionals and amateurs alike about the performing and visual arts, as well as any other field of interest to our eclectic group of contributors. The following interview was submitted to Broad Street Review, powered by Rep Radio.
I'm your host, Darnell Radford, and today I am in, which Rep Radio studio is this? I think this is Rep Radio Studio D for the Drake. So I'm here at the Drake in the lobby, and I'm telling Seth that he needs to have a booth here so that we can produce. So we'll continue to do that. But we're here at the Drake, and I'm here with a bunch of trainers. And I'm not dressed for this, so this ought to be fun. I'm here with the team that is Theatrical Trainer, and I've been literally chasing after Theatrical Trainer for a few years, and it just goes to show you how out of shape I am. I do have a gym membership, but it's for show, pretty much. But I'm here with the gang, and I will let them introduce themselves, and we'll go around.
Well, hi, I'm Peter Andrew Danzig. I'm the founder of Theatrical Trainer.
I'm Tori Sklar, head of the nutrition department.
I'm Arlen Hancock. I'm head of the fight direction.
I'm Richie Sklar. I'm the education associate.
I'm Lauren Fanslau. I'm the head of choreography and dance pedagogy.
Theatrical Trainer, welcome to Rep Radio. I remember 2014, I saw this email come out over the Theater Alliance listserv, and I said, that's interesting. But then right after that, it seemed like every production had movement was sort of at the forefront. And when you looked at the programs, you would see some sort of recognition from Theatrical Trainer. So I said, there's always this thing that happens in the world. Once you tell somebody what you can do, they all start to think about how they can work with you. And I think that was a great thing in terms of Theatrical Trainer being embraced by the community, which seemed to be almost immediately. So we'll start with Peter, and tell us about Theatrical Trainer.
Yeah, so Theatrical Trainer was built on the notion that wellness and health science are natural components to what we do in theater practice. It is a call to action mainly for supplemental help that isn't available through Screen Actors Guild or Actors Equity. In 2014, I found a real need for ensuring that the people who use their bodies most on stage are the ones who are having access to health and wellness options. And we've kind of grown from there. This September, we'll be announcing multiple departments that kind of marry the idea of kinesiology with dance, education, theater practice, stage combat, anything that has to do with the body on stage. We are there to support. We also do choreograph. We create pieces we'll be producing this year. But it's hard to explain what we do because there's not really a benchmark across the country. There's nobody who's doing what we're doing, which is exciting. So That's where we are right now.
Which I always thought was really cool because when I was in New York, I was well aware that there was one New York sports club that was right there in Times Square, and I just assumed all the theater people went there. And I said, you know what? If I could just get a Broadway body, that's all I need, because they're all like chiseled from stone, and I don't know how. This work ethic must be part of the job, but because I am pretty much on my own to do that, I'm not as motivated as I could be. But so what are the sort of departments, I guess, that make up Theatrical Trainer?
Yeah, I'll kind of umbrella this and let everybody just kind of explain what they do. For the first few years, we really integrated personal training and support for the body and rehabilitation. And that's still at the core of what we do. It's our passion. However, we have a newer outlined faculty and restructuring process that allows us to open an education department, to bring in a certified nutritionist now to actually bridge that gap between wellness in theater and how you should be fueling your instrument. We have an in-house choreographer who works on many projects with us and does a lot of programming. And then, of course, Stage Combat. Arlen's been with us since day one, literally. And we really find a lot of passion in ensuring that we marry the idea of kinesiology with Stage Combat as well. So there's fun ways to work out and exercise, whether you're a creative person, an artist, or not. There's just an approach to using the body. And I think that everybody can kind of speak to their department, tell us a little bit more. We can go for it, Tori.
All right, we'll start with Tori.
I got brought on a couple months ago to lead the nutrition department, certified nutrition counselor, and I got my degree about a year ago, and I've been just slowly building up the client base. But basically I do meal planning and nutrition counseling. There'll be workshops coming to coffee shops in the area soon, so I can kind of expand the clientele. I'm just here to offer general nutrition advice, general counseling for anyone who has any questions, and I do weekly health tips and post my recipes, and just here to give people a healthy relationship with food, basically.
Yeah, that one's going to be much needed because, I think every theater artist in Philadelphia has sort of that title. One of the hats they wear is just hustler, because they're constantly running around, and that running around says, like, I don't have time to sit down and make a meal, or if you have that day off, maybe it's the dark day, or you make all your meals for the week, and maybe knowing that might be really helpful so that people can stay energized and fueled so they can continue to shine on stage. So that's really great.
Yeah, and even more, I think Tori can also probably speak to the idea of fueling people's bodies for what they do, not just healthy eating, but introducing her to ideas, the thing that we call tech.
Yeah.
When you're gone for 15 hours out of the day, how do you possibly fuel your body and eat healthy? And Tori's amazing at figuring that out.
Yeah, no stranger to running around, so I'm here to help out with meal prep, I think, is the thing that most people need help with, especially in the industry. So meal prep and planning, and also just like more holistic lifestyles and plant-based.
Okay, cool. I guess we'll go on to Arlen. On the website, I saw, of course, this is probably the one that stands out, the post-apocalypse survival.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about your role and how you contribute to Theatrical Trainer.
Yeah, so definitely. So, we're going to fix this.
Come on
Sitting
over
on a
here.
high. Okay, great. So since, day one here, I'm on this high chair.
Now we're good.
Okay, that's just for everyone at home.
It's because Arlen's big shot. He
Big
stands on top.
all right, look, guys, that's not what I think. We'll go with Big Baby. No. So since day one, I've been sort of the guy that is the go-to for any fight choreography on stage. I've come in for multiple shows around the city and done some workshops in town and around town, and the class that you mentioned is it's something that I don't know. I'm sort of like, oh my god, wouldn't it be great if there was a class just like where you made 2x4s with nails and safe. They're all modified weapons, but it's all sort of this like makeshift, like scrappy back alley kind of fighting, and that's something to me that one is intriguing. Just the nature of itself, that it's a post-apocalypse zombie survival class. Like it's really, and it is a lot of fun to do. And there's also just personally my philosophy with stage combat is that sort of making everybody seems to have sort of a kind of discomfort often with stage combat, and so sort of re-navigating that and building confidence in stage combat while also at the same time using an individual's sort of physical flavor with their combat, so that there's sort of this controlled chaos, sort of a clumsiness that's controlled in their stage combat, so that everything's not fine-tuned. Not everybody knows kung fu. The guys who's pushing pencils doesn't all of a sudden know Krav Maga. Like, you know what I mean? Like the fact that maybe you've never touched a weapon in your life, and now you are. So what does that feel to you? So
don't get confused. Every cubicle warrior is a badass.
Fair. I shouldn't just assume, and maybe they are. Whatever the circumstance of it is. But so what intrigued me about that class in general is sort of taking what you may or may not know about stage combat and just adding in maybe if you punch somebody in the side of the face, how does that feel and how does that affect your fist? Both people are going to react to that, and so there's something sort of makeshift about that was really intriguing to me from day one.
Yeah. If you've seen any show in Philadelphia, fight choreography is absolutely necessary. Yeah. I feel like all the years that I've been here, there is. The fight choreography always stands out, and it's always something we look forward to, especially since we are obsessed with Shakespeare. Sometimes we'll produce the same show by 5 different companies, and we are all still going to all of them.
Absolutely.
Because we want to see how the fight fares out.
and of course, there's some of the things that we look to the most, and something that I strive for, and I think the company in general strives for, is coming to every project professionally and safely, but also in a dynamic manner. Mm-hmm. So, for instance, you're right. There's so many Shakespeare shows that are going on in town, out of town, and the Scottish play is done so many times with broadswords, and it's just a totally valid way to do that. I would love to see one at some point where it's pole arms, or maybe a pole arm and a rapier, and then how does that translate? How do we work around sort of the non-conventionalness of that?
Or maybe 10 Lucille's.
And maybe there's 10. Hey, but you know what? Why not? But exactly. Who knows? And
I came prepared. Okay.
You did, and I'm glad. Thank you for this. No, but and then if that's the case, let's look at this. Let's make this new and fresh. Because 2 guys with broadswords going at each other is all fine and dandy. But I kind of want to. If there's a way to make that, even just that template, new and fresh, that's my goal.
I just want to dust off my acting resume because it just says host for ever, and put at the very top post-apocalypse survival certificate.
You will. You hit me. We'll make it happen.
Come take that workshop.
Darnell Radford, I'm kind of a badass. I will be doing a piece from.
And excuse me.
They're gonna be like, tell me about this post-apocalypse survival. Yeah. Oh man.
Grammar.
I'm gonna need the room. I'm gonna need some space.
Definitely. Yeah.
So I mean, sometimes we have to brand things in a way that's attractive. Absolutely. To get people to realize that that's actually the foundations of this. Even though that seems like more fun, there's actually a technique to that, and there's so much you can take from it, and you don't necessarily have to be going into a production that requires it to be able to benefit from all those skills.
For sure.
So that's great. So fight choreography, they got that on lock.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll move over to Richie.
Yes, hello.
Richie's the administrator, right?
I am, but I'm also the education associate.
Okay.
And education is really new to Theatrical Trainer. Mm-hmm. And so I'm really looking to kind of take our mission of creating this relationship with health and wellness and theater practice and take it to a younger age group. Because just like it's important for us as professional actors out of college in our 20s and 30s, just as it's important for us at those ages to understand how we use our bodies, it's even more important when we're younger to understand our bodies when it comes to theater practice. A lot of people in college, in high school, even younger than that, don't realize the link between physical fitness and being an actor until it's too late, until they've hurt themselves, until they have sustained an injury, until they have to now live with that injury. And I think if there's a way that we can get it into people's minds that strengthening the body is just as important as strengthening the craft, especially at a young age, I think that would be excellent. Especially with, just as an example, there are so many shows on Broadway right now that have kids in them.
Yeah.
Those kids don't know, they could potentially know nothing about theater, let alone how to keep your body strong for 8 shows a week.
They're just running around talking about how revolting they are.
Exactly. All those kids in Matilda, they're just running around the stage. They don't understand anything. No, I'm kidding. But But hopefully, the end game for now, maybe we'll even surpass this, but the end game could potentially be to work with children on Broadway and teach them the transition from being just a regular kid to being a professional actor, just like all of the adults that they're surrounded with, and how they can keep their bodies fit and strong. Yeah. And also, in addition to that, we're going to be offering a lot of our regular workshops, but tailored for different age groups. We are going to be offering post-apocalyptic stage combat for kids. It's not going to be
not going to be the exact same class.
Yeah, we're not going to be swinging around pieces of wood with nails on it. Don't send your kids to that, but do send your kids to our zombie attack class, where they can learn about zombie physicality and how we can use our bodies to create characters. So yeah.
And then next season we'll see a play that has a bunch of kid zombies in it.
Exactly. Why not?
I want to kill them because they're going to kill me, but they're so cute. I don't know what to do.
Exactly.
I think that'll be exciting. I mean, every element of theater is education anyway, so why not the training portion of it to have some sort of educational element?
Yeah, and that's definitely what we want to be at the forefront of our mission for our upcoming education department.
Great. Well, that's exciting.
Yeah.
And we'll move over to Lauren.
Hi. Well, I'm actually glad that it's coming around to me last, because I hope what you're hearing from all the different departments is that the educational component and providing clients and groups and theater companies with the tools to not only do the work in the class or the residency, but it's so much more far-reaching than that. What Richie just articulated about the actor body or the artist body is not that you just get in shape for one show and then you forget about it, or you don't just meal plan when you're trying to get in shape for a show, but how do you do that 24/7? I view our choreography department in the same kind of way, where choreography can be bringing in a choreographer and teach them the dance and get out and that's it. Or we can view it as everything that we do on stage, or everything that we do when we are doing ensemble building can be choreography.
Yeah.
So that's what's really exciting to me, is what is choreography if we don't do it in the conventional way? And if we rely on the entire group to come up with something together, and the choreographer or the director is just there to help those juices flow. Mm-hmm. So to date, we've actually partnered with a few theater companies and educational institutions in this city and beyond. We've worked with SAG-AFTRA, and we'll continue to work with them on some of our movement workshops. So what's exciting about that is that we're not just coming in to teach a cast a dance and then we're like, bye, never see you again. But how can we continue that relationship, and how can we
and now
choreograph?
You just know that dance, and so every time you go out to a bar or something, and you're just alternate that
clear
dance
the floor.
Like, that's it.
And that's great. Like, don't get me wrong. Choreography is super fun. If you tell me, come in and teach them a dance, super fun. But what can we do beyond that? That is so much more about health and nutrition and using the entire body, and the people that we work with having ownership over what we're doing instead of just, Simon says.
Yeah.
So it is that educational component, and it is a continuation of what's beyond the workshop, or what's beyond this one dance that we're doing together.
Yeah. So I remember the first play the first musical I was in high school was Fame, and I was ancillary. I was chorus because I was in the choir, and then ultimately we had to tweak one of the main roles because I was the understudy for it. But I remember the choreography in that was just sort of taught at us, so we never really learned the foundations of why these moves made sense.
Yeah.
We just, that's not it. And, you get it, and then you get it, but that's it. So
Yes.
now you can go do it, but you don't understand what this turn actually is. And
That's
what it means
exactly right.
why
And
it's
it kind of
important.
it confines you to a box, and you're just going to do it within this box instead of, well, what happens if we break out of that? And that's also what you're talking about, your experience in high school. That's a really good way to get an injury as well. If you just do the turn and cross your fingers. That is a really, really good way for something not great
Even
to
in
happen to your
ninth grade,
body.
that was my stage, so I owned it from that day on.
I'm so glad. Keep owning it.
So whenever I get a group together, I always find a way to call it back to Fame, because Fame has this sort of. They always have this. There's this part in Fame's Hard Work where they do a chant where they say acting, dance, music is the hardest profession in the world. In your opinion, which one of those is the hardest profession in the world?
Oh gosh. So which one's the hardest?
Well, I think they all lend themselves to the same thing. As artists, we want to use our bodies in many ways, and that means by being an actor, being a singer, being a dancer, being all of those things, especially in the kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Business that we see ourselves in right now, where you have to be able to do all those things. It's not enough to just come in with a great monologue. You also have to know how to use your body, and you also have to know how to use your voice. And there are ways to use your body and your voice than just dancing and singing.
Yeah.
And so as artists, and I think this speaks for all of us, we really strive to be able to really branch out and do all of those things.
Yeah, I think. Well, I think it's really important that we also think about the pedagogy of theater practice now, nationally and internationally, and this idea of the narrative of the total artist. So, a decade ago, we would go to auditions. Even for grad school, I remember a couple years ago, they were like, oh, sing the song and dance. Now people go to auditions for a graduate program. They're like, okay, great. And so what tumbling experience do you have? How many languages do you learn? Can you backflip? Our favorite one, how many instruments? And, people don't realize how much the body is integrated into all of that work. We also have a list of artists who are also instrumentalists, and nobody thinks about piano players or saxophone players getting tendinitis, carpal tunnel. How do we teach them proper stretches and engagement for their craft, which is still on stage, but these are the people who, are the ones who are suffering with chronic pain from playing instruments all day, and nobody's teaching them how to stretch. They don't get the same equity breaks that we all do. So, if you think about that stuff, we all bleed the same. It's one body. So it's really important for us to strengthen that instrument and then apply it to craft.
And there's so many of our theater artists here in Philadelphia that have, because they're bringing in all of their multi-talents, they've sort of raised the bar for everybody. Thanks a lot, Alex Bechtold. You just can't. You write your own
you
shows.
out
You
right
produce
now,
your
Alex.
No, celebrating Alex. But yeah, I mean, so what's a training session like? Because some of these they're semi-private and there's private. But let's talk about the semi-private sessions. What are they like, and how do you get people to sort of loosen up and give themselves to this process?
Britney Spears.
I was going to Harlan read me right. I just show them my Britney Spears collection, and they're like, oh, if you're not embarrassed about that, then I am certainly not embarrassed about doing a push-up. But no, in all realisticness, we have very private, semi-private, and public forums for training. The fun thing about Theatrical Trainer and what makes us unique is that every individual is worked with on an individual basis. So it's not one-stop shop. So I can't, even due to HIPAA, I couldn't tell you what people's, working through injury-wise, but I can say people will come to us for different reasons. Somebody may come from the art and say, I have to sing and do this compromised body shape. How do I use diaphragmatic support? How do I build my aerobic capacity to sing these roles? Somebody will come to us from an acrobatic show out of town and say, I'm being required to do this extra kind of movement. I'm an acrobat. I don't know how to dance. This is different for me. What do I do? Yeah. And, we kind of set, the first meeting is really setting ideal goals. We ask them to identify one goal that is personal, that is not related to craft or dance or theater of any way, that is just for them, that they will work towards one nutrition goal, and they work with our nutritionist. And then we allow one as it pertains to your job. Because what's really important for us is that when you're in that room working on your body, you can't, if you decided to stop acting, dancing, singing tomorrow, just by choice, you still have to be healthy and know how to use your instrument. So for us, it's really about engaging those individuals to learn about the continuity of wellness and its importance in what we do.
I'm going to create a list of actors we can blame in the community for raising the bar, and like Terry Brennan is one of those too. I was just thinking about school play and how. So I saw it. He'll know we talked about this on the interview. The night that I saw the production, there was a technical issue, and the bear part of that scene, he had to do it over again. And after we saw it flawless, we knew he was going to have to do it all over again, but he had maybe like 5 or 10 minutes, and he was breathing heavy, and all I could think of is, he's got to do that again. And if he does it, forget it. I don't care what happened. This is going to get, this needs to get awarded for like everything, because the fact that he was able to just, what? You want to do it again? Okay, that's fine. But yeah, when I think about that kind of movement, and he then had to remember all those lines and still get back into without getting into the next scene being completely out of breath.
But that's exactly it with making all of this just normalcy in your life, because I think I mean, there's so many components of the life of an artist, but I think you get really used to having wrenches thrown in your gears as a regular. And how do you work with that? So if your body is strong and you are focused and you're healthy and all those things are already in place as your baseline, you're going to be in a much better place to have to redo that intensely physical scene because something went wrong technically.
And it's like, we're so happy to have you in this production. Now let's talk silks. Wait a minute. Were these a part of this? Like,
that was Lauren and I's graduate experience. That's exactly what happens. How Theatrical Trainer happened.
Yeah, I'm thinking about circus arts too, and how that just, it was always there, but it just became so popular, and it became like a standard for any theater with height. Now you're going to have to try to do that and incorporate that in.
Which is exciting that the art is expanding so much, and that Philly is such a let's try it. Like that. That is how this town is. But how can we do that safely without killing each other?
So, what? This is going to sound like a weird question, but even though you've kind of sort of answered it, why is theater? What makes Theatrical Trainer so valuable to our community?
Well, I stand steadfast on this, is what makes it so valuable. The value lies in us instilling you to recognize your value in this community, i.e. we're not placing the value on you. So many actors are so quote-unquote grateful for work that they forget that they're using their most precious thing, their instrument. And that's the most valuable thing for Theatrical Trainer to impart, is that knowledge and education on how to utilize your body safely, how to also create safe standards in the rehearsal room, how to be an advocate in a diplomatic and educated way about the body, how to communicate physicality that may be different or hard to casting directors or directors, how to say, great, if you're going to hire me to do that, this might take 8 weeks to learn. I can't learn that in a week because I'm very prone to injury that way. Or, as we've seen many times rehabilitating people, just go do that thing. We'll figure it out later. That's, actors are not indispensable to us ever at Theatrical Trainer. People are never indispensable. So I think that's where our value comes from, our value set, and just kind of reminding people we're not doing much except saying you're important in this space just as you are. Advocate for that. Make sure that you're heard.
So how do you get a smaller company on board? Because we know that this stuff is valuable, but at the same time, as a small production company producer, you're thinking about how much all this costs, and you're just like, I would very much like to have this cast of 7. Move gracefully across the stage, and maybe I can just do it with the blocking. But how do you show them the value of this and incorporating it into their work?
Yeah, well, Arlen and I have worked on a couple productions with this.
Or give me some examples of some companies that you worked with that your involvement made it much more valuable.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, so we worked on Simpatico's It Girl, which was an amazing experience. And I mean, one thing I think the company, Peter and I specifically, really brought to that was that, you know, this was a very movement-heavy show, a lot of dance, a lot of stage combat as well, and I feel we brought to that was that there are already some really great creative minds in the room, and what we brought to it was just, okay, yes, and how about this? And adding just like, oh, this extra step, this extra level to make things more dynamic and just colorful on stage. On top of that, too, we wanted to make sure that everyone was safe. I think something really critical about bringing people like us into the room is, you know, what we add to your production is sort of the reassurance that, you know, you could do this on your own, that whatever that move may be, it may not be sustainable for weeks on end. And if only you had somebody to come in and say, ooh, that one thing you're doing, it may not hurt now, but it will later, you save yourself a lot of trouble down the road. So that was really what we brought into the table there, and I mean, it really paid off. It was a really beautiful piece at the end of it, and I mean, I swear, like I don't know what would have been. I mean, of course, what could have been, you know, if we weren't there, but it was definitely, you know, it was a lot of improv. You know, we Amanda Schoonover would say, oh, well, let's do this, and then I'd be like, yeah, but ooh, what if we do that, but then this, and everyone, oh, I didn't think about that, and it's just like everyone would lose their mind about it. It was really, you know, so it's both a creative and safe component. Just sort of what my spiel is boiling down to is, you know, I think those two things are really key and are, you know, big selling points of what Theatrical Trainer brings to the room. Yeah.
Cool. What is the? What is the most popular offering of Theatrical Trainer?
You know, we have done so much. I can't necessarily say because we haven't even officially launched our education department until next month. And we've just gotten 3 partnerships from word of mouth.
So it's the education department?
It depends who you're talking to. I'm sure Richie is doing a share hair swoop. And Tori is screaming nutrition, and Lauren's pirouetting, and Arlen's punching things. That's how we're deciding. And it's rocks, paper, scissors.
You can change the channel. It's okay, we're on a battery.
We're good. But no, I will say we don't have... that's the reason we separate into departments, because we got so many different requests. The personal training and life coaching is a huge portion of what we do for sustainability and wellness. But each department now has been separated to give better customer service. And we love making art, but it is a business, it's a job, and you should have good customer service. So we realized we can't just loop it all into one thing, that we need faculty that handle that specifically. So that's the training was the basis of all of this, but where we're going now is a larger national dialogue.
Cool. So I know there are a lot of people who get to a certain age and they feel like they've missed their opportunity to participate. Are there any prerequisites for any offering
I will
at
say
Theatrical
this,
Trainer?
Everybody is going to have to weigh on this, but I will say it at the forefront right away that for us, we don't craft beach bodies. The word hot is not allowed in our studios because that's a factor that's so different and variable to everybody that we don't want to place those ideals on our clients or our casts or ourselves. You know, a healthy body looks a million different ways.
So you can't help me maintain my size hot t-shirts?
You can maintain them perfectly. Maintain them perfectly, but the thing that we want to instill in everybody is, you know, it sounds hokey, but you are beautiful as you are. The important thing is the education about health and wellness. And that means varying body types. But there's no prerequisite to working with us whatsoever. And I'm sure, you know, Richie can talk about education. Tori definitely will be able to speak to nutrition, how that pertains to everybody, and you know.
Absolutely. Well, I was about to say, because I mean, really, it's we sort of cater to you, you know, really. Yeah. You know, like even what Richie and I were talking about with the post-apocalypse zombie class. You know, I mean, that's a class that is currently and can be and will be modified for younger ages. It wasn't originally, and then he emailed me at one point. He was like, "Why don't we taught this to kids?" And I was kind of like, "What are you? No." And he's like, "No, wait, we can." And he started explaining to me, and I was like, "Oh, this is amazing." So really, all these offerings. Really, I mean, whether, on the fly or something, like we have the training and the background to be like, okay, these are your needs, great, let's reach those, instead of somehow having some, par that everyone must meet. We're really reaching to you with these workshops and these classes. So.
Great. So just to reiterate, what do you hope potential participants of Theatrical Trainer ultimately take away from their experience? And I guess I'll just go around everyone and kind of give your little snippet about it. We'll start with Lauren.
Yeah, I think the tools to do all of this on your own and to continue doing it. Again, it's one thing for us to come into a room and say, do this, and then, that'll work in your production, and then you'll never do it again. Or we can come in and really explain the basis of it, how it's going to work for your body versus your body versus your body, so that you can maintain it long after we've left the room. I think, as Peter said, there is no organization that looks exactly like this one or has the same mission. But I think at times, I'm going to throw some entities under the bus here, whether it's, gyms or choreographers or directors. I think they sometimes thrive on, you need me in the room in order to do this, so that you keep hiring me to come back over and over again.
Yeah.
And although we would love to keep working with the same organizations and keep these partnerships up, we really want to hand over the tools so that you are able to continue the work on your own with your ensemble. If you are a teaching artist in your own right, that you can take these tools into your classroom. So that's one of my biggest goals, is that there is longevity to what we are doing with our clients.
Great. Richie?
Yeah, I just think knowing your body and knowing what you can do with your body is such an important thing to Theatrical Trainer. Our bodies are amazing things, but we have to know what we can handle, and it's not a thing across the board. Every person is different, and instilling that knowledge for yourself as an individual, and also how you work in a group setting is definitely one of the things we strive to do.
Yeah,
Marlon?
Yeah, for me, it's really confidence. I love teaching classes with clients of all ages, 6 to 40 beyond, whatever, and there's always someone in the room who's hesitant towards stage combat, or just being physical and moving with their bodies in general, and through whether it's like personal training or workshops, whatever we're doing together, at the end of it, if they feel a little more confident in their bodies with what they've just been taught, that's a success, a personal and company success to me. And so that's sort of a personal goal as well. Again, a company goal as well. But I at least personally, I strive to make sure that by the end of whatever we're doing, you are more assured in what you're doing, stage combat, physically, and have the confidence to go forward.
I want to make a suggestion. So you can research this as part of your fight choreography workshop.
What is this?
Okay, so I have like this intersection of things that I do. It's theater, it's IT, and it's video games for the most part.
All right.
So
go. I'm good.
Think about it.
I'm ready. No, I don't know. I'm not. I'm there with you.
Keyblade wielding
Yes.
workshop, right?
Yes.
Right?
Kingdom Hearts
Richie's
represent.
with me. He's with me.
I'm
See,
on it.
I have a keyblade hanging in my living room, and I want to be a badass with that keyblade.
No. Actually, it's funny. What's it made out of?
This one's made out of metal,
It's
but they
metal?
have them
You don't know
made
which
out of
kind of
wood.
metal.
They're made out of plastic too.
This is a fun. I used to blacksmith ages ago. So I was about to say, like, if you sent, I might be able to modify it. That's all I'm saying.
Oh yeah,
But
they have different options.
They sure do.
The one I have is hanging on purpose because you will get hurt.
Let's not work with that one. But I've done lightsaber fights before, like just like little plastic ones. But you know what I mean, like that style. Totally, I'm so into that. So we'll talk. We'll make it work. Yeah.
I want to walk into every theater with just the ghost light on.
Every audition
and a keyblade.
And everything, too.
And just
You should wear it on your back.
do a little routine, hold it up
Absolutely.
in the air, everything lights up.
Don't even do your side.
They're
Don't
like,
do the side. Don't even give him a headshot.
He went to Theatrical Trainer.
There it is.
All right, Tori.
I can't really follow blacksmithing, but yeah. So, like I said before, I generally want everyone to have a healthy relationship with food. It's so important. You know, there are so many people who don't even know basic nutrition or like basic cooking skills, for that matter. And I just want everyone. Like, I'm not going to go home and cook for you every day, but I want everyone to learn what a balanced meal is and how to incorporate that in like their busy lives. Basically, cooking skills and meal prep, and like these are just basic skills that so many people lack, and it's so important for health and wellness to learn, you know, proper nutrition.
Yeah.
So that's what I hope to bring to the table and expand the nutrition department a little bit so that we have all clients. Like, I am not an actor personally, but I'm here to help, I guess, bring this company a little bit more balance and speak to everyone so that, you know, Theatrical Trainer isn't just for actors and people in the community, it's for everyone. We want health and wellness for everyone.
Yeah. Great. Peter?
Yeah, I'm gonna like bounce on that and say that if I could take away anything coming to Theatrical Trainer, it would be that I'd want to learn about the science of kinesiology and how it affects my body in my work. So meaning, how does nutrition, wellness affect me as a creative individual? Because people who come to us are creative and they're from all walks of life. But what's really interesting is, for some reason, artists rally against science, and science rallies against art. And yeah, like, we're rebels. We have the blade coming in with it, you know, like. But in reality, both can inform each other so beautifully that if you could walk away with anything, we'd like it to be the marriage of the science of what you do in addition to choreography and movement.
So I have an idea for you, too.
Okay.
So if this doesn't already exist, the artist body. It's a book. It's got a notebook that goes along with it.
Yeah, maybe we'll
Walk out.
I'm not going to lie. There may be a book.
body.
Maybe we'll do a book in the future. A little textbook.
There you go. Well, I'm excited. I may be even tempted to actually go to the gym tomorrow instead of walking by it. I just walk by and say, you know, I close these circles, so I'm fine. I don't need to worry about it. I walk up a bunch of flights of stairs every day. I get my workout in, but you know. Anyway, it was great chatting with you guys. It was great to find out more about Theatrical Trainer. It took 3 years to get here. 3 years and a power outage, and we made it work. If you want to find out more information about Theatrical Trainer, you can go to theatricaltrainer.com. Lauren, Richie, Arlen, Tori, Peter, thank you so much for being on Rep Radio. It was truly a pleasure.
Want to get involved with Broad Street Review? Head on over to our website at www.broadstreetreview.com and click Get Involved at the top. While you're there, help keep us running and click Contribute to find out how. Connect with us on social media on Facebook and Twitter at Broad Street Review. Thank you for helping to keep the conversation going.